about self-discipline is that it is necessary for everything you do in your life. You have to be self-disciplined. If discipline comes from somewhere else, it's very, very hard to remain consistent because you tend to resist. It's wild because I see trainers and they're in the gym with people and, you know, the guy or girl that they're working out hates their workout, hates it because the discipline is coming from somewhere else. It's something that you dread every time you go in. You don't really want to do it. It's like, but oh no, my trainer's here. He's about to, you know, beat me up and make me feel crazy. Well, the truth is, every trainer should work his way out of your life. Anybody who's working you out, your teachers, your trainers, your people, they have to train you to get out of your life. So you can go ahead, do your own workout, do your own thing, practice self-discipline. Now, one thing I want to straighten out, big time. Discipline is not punishment. It's not. Discipline is training. That's all it is. I was talking to my son one time and I asked him, and it was weird because I was trying to see if he really knew what it was all about. And I said, hey man, you know I have to discipline you. What is discipline? And he goes, punishment, punishment. When I do something wrong and you punish me. I was like, no, no. Discipline is training. If you change your mind, your mindset, and really focus it on what discipline really is, you start to welcome discipline. You welcome self-discipline into your life. Let me start with the number one key to self-discipline. Remove temptation. You must remove temptations if you are going to have self-discipline. I'm trying to say, if you are trying to lose weight, if you are trying to get better, if you are trying to do things in a good way, you have to remove the temptations. Me, I had a problem with pornography years ago. And now it's one of those things that I had to eliminate temptations. I had to eliminate things that I felt would trigger me and get me back going on the wrong path. And it's really, really subtle. One of the things is by examining the way you think and how you act in a given situation. I find that there were times like Friday night is when I felt like that was the time to view pornography. You know why? Because I remember everyone going out on Friday and it feeling real sexy and feeling like woo and women and this and dancing and partying and all that. And then I would do it. I'd say, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm a good boy, but I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna watch porn, which was a horrible, horrible habit. So Friday night, I know when those feelings are coming and when I get sensitive and I feel like, you know, this might be the time to click on something, you know what I mean? And I know it and I head it off at the path. You just make sure that you know where you are and you avoid those temptations. The same thing with eating. If you know you have a problem with donuts, do not go to the donuts shop to get your coffee. You know what I mean? Go to a place that doesn't have donuts or something that you know is your vice, that you know you shouldn't do. Another thing, you can be proactive when I say avoiding temptation. If you want to really consistently make the gym a part of your life, set your clothes out for the gym the night before, and it will remove the temptation to not go to the gym. When you wake up, all of a sudden you have your clothes there and you just hop in them. Instead of looking all over the house, I can't find my shirt, I can't find my socks, I don't know what's going on. You'll have your clothes there and there will be no excuse for you not to go. Avoiding temptation is a way of life. By doing one thing differently, you can avoid all kinds of temptation, and it is the key to your self-discipline. Now, let's talk about the next key. Number 2 is to eat regularly and healthily. You know, in therapy, there was a phrase that we used to use all the time called HALT, H-A-L-T. And that means when you are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, you have to be really, really conscious of what's happening. It's called HALT. Anytime you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, HALT. Look at what you're doing. Examine it. If you're hungry, get something to eat. If you're angry, calm down. Think about where you are. Get yourself in a good mood. If you are lonely, call a friend. Call someone you know. Talk about your thing. Talk about your emotion. Talk about how you're feeling. And if you are tired, get some rest, because that is when you're weakest. All of those 4 states of being is when you are at your weakest spot. And it's very, very, very hard to keep self-discipline when you're weak. It is. You know what I mean? You are a fallible human being. So you have to know halt, and you will find the key to self-discipline. Since I was a kid, and I remember, again, one of my earliest things, it was like 4 or 5 years old, is my father hitting my mother in the face as hard as he could, and she gets knocked out. And I remember seeing her on the floor and then looking at him, this giant of a man who I thought, my God, he says he loves her. What is he going to do to me? And all I could think, I want to protect her. I want to protect her. And how wrong it was. And I said, I got to be strong. And I got to get strength so that I can protect her. And every time he came home, we were scared. We didn't know. I literally wet the bed till I was 14 years old because I didn't know what was going to happen. I would wake up to glass breaking, just sounds, people screaming, and it was a nightmare. We lived a nightmare for years. And I remember my mother coming into our room and saying, we're leaving. Pack our stuff, we're out of here. And we would grab everything we had and we put it in garbage bags. And we would tie it up and we wait to go. And then she'd come back in and she'd say, we can't go. We can't leave. Where am I going to go? And I just remember feeling like, let's go anywhere. I don't care. We can be in the street. But she couldn't do it. And he went on, terrorizing us forever. And it was like, what could we do? And organizations like this is what can be done. You have to understand that people in this situation feel entirely hopeless. Hopeless. We were hopeless. And I remember, see, and this is so wild because I picked up so many things. I thought, I'll never be like that. I'll never do that. But then I picked up a lot of other damaging things that come from that trauma. A lot of other things that had been assimilated into the culture, had been assimilated into athletic culture, assimilated into black culture, assimilated into my life. And I picked up a lot of these things, but this is the thing. What I was taught in my hood, in my area, is that simply because I was a man, I was more valuable than the women in my life. That was a firm belief. And here I am, I'm like, I watched my mother get abused. But here I am, as a man, I felt like, hey, it's my way or the highway. I remember times with my daughter Azriel, and I would yell at her as if she was a 30-year-old man. And I remember these times, and I remember I constantly apologize, constantly call them and say, I'm sorry. Daddy didn't get it. Daddy missed it. And and this is the deal. We have to speak up. We have to speak up. Because as being terrorized, how are you going to get help? But the problem is that you're behind enemy lines. And what's so wild is I wrote a book in 2014 called Manhood. Now, first of all, more than anything, I have to thank my beautiful wife who could not be here tonight, Miss Rebecca Cruz, who was my best friend, but she's also the only person I had that would really tell me the truth. And she told me, I'm done with you. She said, I'm out. I'm through. And this, I couldn't believe what was happening, because here I was, a very successful man, very successful. But what you have to realize is that success is the warmest place to hide. You have to realize that people can't quantify the fact that, this guy is such a successful producer. How could he do these damaging things? This guy's a world-class athlete. How could he be this way? This guy's a professor and he's so intelligent. How could he do this stuff? This guy is a wonderful politician. How could this happen? Success is the warmest place to hide. And I knew I had a problem, and I got help. And I wrote this book, Manhood, which basically told all of my issues, all of my stuff, and it came out in 2014. And basically my publisher abandoned the book because they thought it was ridiculous. And they said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? They expected some really funny kind of like, a thing on athletics and entertainment. Terry Crews, you're very funny. We wanted a fun book. And I said, this is the book. This is what it is. And when it came out, it wasn't a big deal. Now it's a big deal. And when I look at what this is, when I look at this movement, the Me Too movement, this is the Emancipation Proclamation. This is a thing where what's so wild is that once I was assaulted at an event with my wife, me, at 48 years old, I'm 49 now, a year ago, I'm at an event and I'm sexually assaulted by the head of William Morris Endeavor's movie department in front of everyone. And he thought it was so funny. And I just couldn't believe what was happening. And let me tell you something. I know what toxic masculinity looks like because I was in it. And when they tried to gaslight me and say, oh, look, no, you can't be hurt, that we were just kidding. In fact, it was just horseplay. And I'm going, one man's horseplay is another man's humiliation. And I remember hearing Tarana's story. When Ronan Farrow came out with the story and all these actresses were coming out about Harvey Weinstein, and I got PTSD about what was happening. And I couldn't move, I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything until I said something. Because I had to support these women who were being told that they were opportunists, that they were liars, that they just were looking for a payday. And I said, this happened to me. Me. And I said, you guys, everyone has to see, and everyone has to know that, it doesn't matter. The whole thing was, I remember with women, the whole thing is like, what were you wearing that made him do that? And I had young black men come at me and say, hey man, you're so big, you could have knocked him out. You must have wanted it. And I thought, how did we get this off? I was talking on the table. There was a time where the Red Cross would go out and give out bandages, medicine, and cigarettes. That's what they did. They handed out cigarettes to the patients. And everybody thought it was fine. How did we get that far off? Until we realized that this behavior, it's not, because the whole thing is about proving a conspiracy. We have, but the thing is, it's impossible to prove a conspiracy
because you got to get two people in a room and prove that they want it, to get after you and the whole deal. But you can prove a complicit system. When people are looking the other way, when the whole thing is geared where you can't ask for help or you are going to lose your job. Or if you bring it up, how in the world are you going to afford an attorney in order to fight this case? You need three things in order to come forward with a lot of your damage and the things that's happened to you. You need distance emotionally, you need distance financially, and you need distance physically. Coming out with your story is probably one of the hardest things ever. It's like flying a plane from LA to New York and you've never flown a plane before. And people are like, what took you so long? It's crazy. You are literally digging tunnels with spoons, trying to get out. Like my mother tried to get out. And I'm gonna tell you something, she never got out. My mother died in 2015. She never escaped. First of all, this is real, y'all. And I'm here to tell you, I want to thank the people that are here, because again, like my man said, it's preaching to the choir. Everyone here, you get it. You get it. But you have to go out and spread the word. Find one person, find one person that can help. And I'm telling you this right now. For me, this is my calling. This is more valuable. You know, I'm promoting movies and TV shows and the whole thing, but I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. Because when people understand that it does not matter what you look like, it doesn't matter, anyone, anywhere can be victimized. And no man, woman, or child should ever put up with being treated as less than a human being, ever, ever. And I tell you, I so appreciate those words from my daughter. And let me tell you, if my wife was here, I'd pull her up here too and let her tell her side. But I'm telling you, my wife, she's fearless. She's fearless. She looked me in my eye and she was ready to lose everything. She was like, I'm out. I don't care, I'll live by myself, I don't care, I don't need you, I don't need your money, I don't need anything. And that fearlessness woke me up. It woke me up to the damage I was doing. It woke me up. It was this catalyst that changed my life forever, that killed my pride. And I'm here to tell you, it's fixable. See, understand, this is fixable. This is something that we can be deprogrammed. You can see it, but you have to show people. We have to show people, we have to talk. And this is one thing I love about what Safe Horizon provides. It's a safe haven, this place to go, there's services that people need. And I'm telling you, I'm so thankful to be here today. I am not special. I am not special in any way whatsoever. Thing is, there's a myth that's been told to everybody, is that you either have it or you don't. A lot of people say, oh, well, he just had that singing talent or this music talent or acting talent, a lot of stuff. Everything is learned, everything. From one, I mean, it's kind of wild because what happens is people start, if you're gonna work out with me, and what happens is if I really didn't want you to make it, I would just put 400 pounds on the weight thing and you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I would go, oh, look at you. You just weren't ever meant to lift weights. You know what I mean? But if I put 25s on and you start, you're gonna do it. And you're gonna get better. And you're gonna keep going. I had a teacher who in school sat us in our class from smartest to dumbest. Who he thought was the smartest in the room was in one seat,
wow,
all the way down to the dumbest person he thought was in the room. I was near the end. And I remember going, oh, but you know what happened? The scary thing was, it wasn't what that teacher thought, it was what my peers thought. because automatically the peers know where you are. The peers, all of a sudden they go, yo, he ain't that smart. And see, there's a problem with everyone knowing all your business and knowing what you're failing at because he set everybody up. And he also set the smart kids up too, because whoever thought they were smart, as soon as they had to face any kind of difficulty, they fall. Me, I learned, you know what? Okay, I am not the dumbest guy in the class, but I'm not good at math. And I thought that, and I believed that. And then I started to challenge that. And now I have a love for math. I have a love for physics, for science, for all these things that I thought I didn't have a talent for. And I'm sorry, I just got to tell it because, guys, anybody out there who's listening, you know, you really have to start small and continue, but it's not about how special you are and internal and you know, now everyone has their own desires, but if you have a desire, you can do it. You can do it. You just have to start where you are and keep going.
Yeah, I always tell that talent is that stuff you're talking about. Talent is the ability to keep going.
That's it.
Talent is the ability to think, you know, I can still do this even when people are telling me not. Hard work is a talent.
Well, let me tell you something.
You embody that.
I have a superpower. The one I have is I am unembarrassable. I don't get embarrassed. I will not. Because if I want something, if I look silly, I'm not afraid to fall down. I'm not afraid to look stupid doing it. And people are like, look at this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, yeah, I don't. I don't know what I'm doing. And then sooner or later, you get it. You get it. But I just want to encourage people, stop thinking about how embarrassing something's going to be and decide what it is you want to do.